Brooke, before we leave, tell people what you did during your lunch hour and what the focus was of the call. Brooke's practicing a lot of calls and she didn't do the cadaver, meaning people she didn't know out of the blue. She called people she knew. So tell who you called and what the intent was and what happened.
So I was just inspired by all of you guys doing your calls. So I was at office job and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to smash out 10 calls. But I wanted to call people that I knew because I wanted to actually connect and say something. And so my intention was, number one, I was going to call people who have used my products or my programs in the past. And my intention was to just see if they still had the problem. That was the intent that I set before I called. It wasn't to make a sale. It wasn't to do anything else like that. That was just my intention. So the first one I called was a nurse that I used to work with. She had great results with my program years ago and then for whatever reason stopped using the products. I just gave her a call and I said, "Hey, Katie, I just really want to ask you something. Have you got a quick sec?" And she said, "Yeah, of course." And so I said to her, "I just am really curious. How's that horrible night shift snacking going for you?" And she laughed and she said, "Oh, funny you should ask that because it's going really bad." The reason that I asked that specific question is I don't know if this is what you guys do, but whenever I sign up a customer or client or whatever, I have a little note, like I probably should have a spreadsheet, but I don't like spreadsheets, but I have notebooks and I write down the exact problem that they have and what's it called, what the consequences of that, how long it's been going on. I keep detailed history of all of the people that I've helped. So then I can go back to that because I can't remember everything. I remember a lot, but I can't remember everything. So that's how I led into it because I knew that was her really big problem. And I wanted to see if it was still there. And knowing what nurses are like, and I know that she's a night shift nurse, I had a feeling that the problem would still be there, but I wasn't sure. Anyway, so as it turned out, she was bigger than before, totally miserable. And I started asking her questions about it. And then I said to her, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for you to fix this problem? And she said, a 10. And so she said, "It's just so funny that you called." I said, "Do you still have the app to order stuff?" She said, "Yeah, I've still got it." I said, "He's still active?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, let's jump on right now. Let's get on." She said, "Okay." So, because I said, "Look, there's been a few updates on there. There's a few new different things. Let me just guide you through. Let me tell you how it comes." And she said, "Oh, yep, I'm definitely going to go with the bigger pack because obviously the snacking is the issue. I want all the extra snacks." And then at the end of the call, I said to her, "Hey, you know what? Just before we go, I might have something else that could possibly help with this snacking." I said, "It's a little bit weird. You're going to think it's really weird because I thought it was really weird when I first saw it too." And then I told her a story about the gal Kim, the one that had the soft drink addiction, drank all the soft drink, ate all the candy all the time. So I just said that story and she said, "Oh my God, I need that. That sounds so good." She said, "I've actually got to go though because I'm at work too. My lunch break's finished." I said, "Let's touch base when you're at home. I'll flick a message tomorrow when you're online." So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to go through my other offer that I have for her. Another one that I called was another nurse. I met this nurse online last year and she was just using some of my products to get more energy. So same with her. I called her and said, "Hey, Julie, you got a sec? I really want to ask you a quick question." And she said, "Yep, sure, of course." And the reason that they all said, "Sure, of course," is because I've had a great relationship with them in the past. I've helped them solve a problem in the past. And I guess that's why they're always happy to talk to me. Well, so far anyway. I haven't called everyone yet. Maybe there might be people that might not be happy to talk to me. But anyway, this girl was interesting. I said to her, "I'm just really curious to know, you know how you used to have that energy issue? Like on a scale of 1 to 10 now, how's your energy at the moment?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, okay." She said, "Look, you know what? Most days it's a 10, except very occasionally, but it's sometimes getting a bit more frequent now. Sometimes it's a 4." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And of course, I wanted to know why some days she was a 4. And so she said, "It's because I've had such horrible sciatic pain that it's been keeping me awake a lot of the nights. And so obviously being so tired, I just don't have the energy that I normally would. I might have something that could help with that. Weird. Is that something you might like to know about?" And then I shared my story about my sciatic pain that I used to have until I tested out this weird little sticky dot that you put on your skin, and then pretty much instantaneous, the pain goes. She said, "What's in that dot?" I said, "Nothing goes into your skin at all." That sounds really weird, but what is it? And I said, "Let me tell you how it comes." And then I said to her, "Are you online at the moment?" She said, "No, I'm just out at the shops." I said, "Will you be home later?" She said, "Yeah." So we organised a time to chat later, and I took her shopping. So that was another one. And then there was another one. I asked her a question. Her question that she got was, "Hey, just wanted to ask, are you still into gut health like you used to be?" She said, "Yeah, always."
It's a nurse who knows about
Yeah,
that.
so this is another nurse. And she said, "Yeah, always." And then I said, "Do you still love testing out new stuff like you used to?" She said, "Yes, absolutely I do." "Why?" I said, "I might have something that could possibly interest you." I said, "It's a little bit weird." And so with her, I shared some stories with her from people. She was a girl that used my program in the past. So firstly, I said to her, "Hey, do you still have that app?" Because she still orders products. "Let me show you." So we went on there and, "Oh my gosh, that looks good." She put everything in her cart. And then I told her about my other thing. Once again, something that's really weird. She said, "I love weird stuff." And so we went through that, and she bought that as well. So I just went through the same things that you guys are learning. See if they have a problem, the diagnostic questions to see if it is actually a problem. And then if they're online, well, take them shopping. And it's funny, one of the girls I called yesterday, I left a message for her because she didn't answer her phone. And she called me back yesterday, actually. This girl, she was a girl that joined one of my teams, and she was doing really well. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, as it happens, she just dropped off and went into the abyss, and I didn't hear from her. And I don't like to push people or do anything, but I just wanted to call her just to see what was going on, to see if things in her life were still crazy, because I hadn't heard from her for a while. Anyway, she called me back, and as soon as I answered the phone, I said to her, "Oh, thanks so much for calling me back. I was hoping to chat to you." And she started crying. I was like, "Oh God, what's going on?" I thought something really bad had happened, and I was just like preparing myself for someone in her family, because I know her mum's been really sick and she's got some issues with her kids and stuff. And so I thought, oh God. Anyway, she said, "I am so glad you called me. I've just been so embarrassed that I just dropped off into the middle of nowhere. I didn't know how to come back." She said, "Thank you so much for making that first move." And once again, I went through the diagnostic things. I asked her what the problem was, what was going on, the things that she had tried, why this was so important to her this time to come back on board. And yeah, we just went through those diagnostic questions again. And she said, "I'm ready to get started now. I've got my money, get that big pack." Anyway, she came on and she's super keen. And so my next step with her is she's going to come into Team Maker. I didn't broach that subject with her yet because she was still quite emotional, and she just outlaid quite a bit of money to come back on board. But that will be my next step. Really interesting. I didn't expect any of that to happen at all. That was not my intention. My intention was just to see if they still had a problem. They were actively looking for a way to solve that problem, and they know that I can help solve that problem. Yeah. That was quite cool. And then I gave myself a talking to about why I'd stopped doing those calls. I don't know why I stopped doing those type of calls, but I want to thank all of you guys, because you're the ones that inspired me to start doing them again.
Hey there, this is Kim Claver, and Brooke is part of our group called the Direct Sales Dojo. It's really a practice your conversations gym. That's what it's like. You learn how to talk to people about one thing, the problem that you know how to solve, in case they have it and they'd like to solve it too. That's what our lives are about. We think about the problems. We've got more money, more health, more energy, how to not be cranky with the kids. And so we show you once and for all how to take the thing where you can say, "Let me tell you what happened to me," or "Let me tell you what happened to my mom or my aunt." Take that and turn it into a story that people who still have that problem would like to solve. Because that puts you in the position of somebody who knows how to do it. Why?
Because let me tell you what happened to me. This is what happened to me. And those are stories that engender trust and belief. And that's what we show you how to do. So check it out. Come in for a month or so. See how you love it. And see if it doesn't change completely how people see you. And the customers and the reps that you get in your business, once you start talking about what they care about, which is show me how I can solve my problem and how what you've got can solve the problem that I've got. Because that's what we show you how to do. All right, talk to you soon. Thanks. Check it out. directsalesdojo.com. And it will take you to a page that gives you a little bit more information. And then there's a link there. And they actually, right now, are running a 7-day free trial. So go in there. If you've got a story, let me tell you what happened to me, or you know somebody, let me tell you what happened to me and my mom this or my sister that, and you're not making sales, this is something for you to consider because you will make them. Talk soon. Bye.